What is up, my friend? Welcome to episode 147 of the Anthony John Amix podcast. This is another Sunday sermon edition. And I'm going to call this episode Come Home. Now, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you're feeling like angry, stressed, worried, frustrated, or afraid of what's happening in the world right now, and you want an answer, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Anthony John Amix podcast. The one and only podcast designed to help you become unstoppable in life and business. My name is Anthony John Amix. My friends call me AJ. And my goal with this podcast is to help you remember who you truly are so you can maintain your center in the chaos, embody your potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. That being said, let's get into today's show.
All right, welcome back. Now, before we hop in today's episode, I want to tell you about my best-selling book. It's called Unstoppable Beacon. Now, let's just be real for a second. Everybody on earth feels a sense of inescapable pressure. And I'm here to tell you, only those who learn how to convert stress into fuel actually achieve the power of true freedom. So if you've ever wanted to start a business, or if you've already started a business, you've made some sales and you have some money in the bank, you already know how hard yet super important it is to be productive, to maintain focus, energy, and leverage a business that creates freedom. In fact, most entrepreneurs are affected by mental health issues like ADD and ADHD and bipolar disorder, addiction, depression, or anxiety. And this book, Unstoppable Beacon, it gives you a process to access limitless ambition, embody higher potential, and unlock freedom in your life and business. And you can get that book right now by going to Amazon and grabbing it for like $9. Like, just go to Amazon.com, type in Unstoppable Beacon. You'll find the book. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it on, soft cover thingy. Like, it will come to your door. Like, you can just go to Amazon, order it, and I highly recommend it. Now, with that being said, let's get into today's topic, which is come home. Now, there's a lot going on in the world right now. A lot. And I work with clients all around the world, from Australia to the United Kingdom to France to Colombia to here in a whole bunch of states throughout America. And all around the world, people are angry. They're frustrated. They're scared. They're sad. You name it. The world that they knew seems to be falling apart. And it seems many people are feeling trapped by all of the changes the governments around the world are attempting to impose on the people. Afghanistan is a fucking mess. The Taliban have taken control. People are being slaughtered. Like, shit's getting real. And if you're not feeling angry, sad, afraid, whatever you're feeling about this right now, then you either don't have a pulse or you're sitting in a pit of apathy and despair. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just is what it is. Now, the good news is I'm watching many business owners here in America take a stand. And it's almost like this whole thing is creating a division of the people. It kind of feels like people are having to take a stand, like either let the governments impose their power or choose to be a rebel and fight back. It seems like those are kind of the two sides that seem to be gathering at this moment in time. That's just my perspective anyway. And many people are taking a stand. And look, I'm not here to tell you which side is right or which side is wrong. That's not my agenda here on this podcast. I'm very, very extremely clear that is not what I'm called to right now. What I am called to is sharing a perspective to help you alleviate this pressure, because the propaganda on both sides of the argument are flowing like water. The media, both offline and online, seem to be pushing the big government narrative, while the people who are taking a stand seem to be taking to various social media platforms to unapologetically share their message. And lots of people are watching, lots of people are spectating. And like moths being drawn to a light, people are being emotionally swept into the war. And I believe the vast majority of people, they have no clue what war that they are called to. And as a result, the propaganda is doing them. They are not doing the propaganda. And what I mean by this is they are letting themselves be emotionally run by the propaganda. Like, they read some shit that's going on and immediately their fear response is being fired off. Now, whether this means that they're fighting or fleeing or freezing or appeasing, their fear response is being triggered. And as a result, the propaganda is doing them. Life is living them. They are not living life. Now, recently, I've been reading the Holy Book from the LDS Church, and in Jerome chapter 1, verses 13 through 15, it says, "And it came to pass that 280 years had passed away after the manner of wars and contentions and dissensions for the space of much of the time. And I, Jerome, do not write more, for the plates are small. But behold, my brethren, ye can go to the other plates of Nephi, for behold, upon them the records of our wars are engraven according to the writing of the kings and those which they caused to be written. And I deliver these plates into the hands of my son Omni, that they may be kept according to the commandments of my fathers." Now, when I read this morning, I stopped. For 200, what did it say? For 230 and 80 years. I think that means for 238 years. That's what I'm going to say. For 230 and 80. For 230 and 80 years, they experienced a manner of wars, contentions, and dissensions. For 230 and 80 years, they experienced wars, contentions, and dissensions. And this got me to thinking. Contention and dissension is part of the human experience. Like what we're seeing play out on a global stage has played out before. It's not the end of the world. It's the world. It's the human experience. And in the same book, the book of Jerome, in chapter 1, verses 9, it says, "Inasmuch as ye will keep my commandments, ye shall prosper in the land." Now, this is good news, my friend. Yet I believe we live in a time that far too many people have forgotten how to come home into their hearts and souls to communicate with the divine God who lives within them. Far too many people have made God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it, a concept out there rather than knowing how to come home to experience the God who lives within them. Now, the prophets of old, they knew how to do this, and they did this often. And regardless of what religion you choose to serve, you have many examples of people who, in the midst of contention and dissension, choose to come home to find their answer, to find their divine guidance. And as a result, they prospered in the land. Now, in the Christian Bible, in Joshua chapter 24, verse 15, it says, "But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Now, I'm not going to speak for you, but I will speak for me. And my hope is that it encourages you. I hope that it inspires you. As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Why? Because I know in my bones, when I come home, I shall prosper. Now, it may not look like what my mind and my ego wants, but it is what my heart and soul wants. And that, my friend, is all I care about. So for everyone who doesn't want conflict, I want you to realize it's here. The conflict is here. Now, I don't even know what that means, but what I do know is now, in this moment, it's more important than ever to learn to come home to the Lord God who lives within you to find your answers. Not your parents' answers, not your church's answers, not your government's answers, not your friends' answers, your answers. I released a podcast in March of 2020. It was episode 31 called Conquering Coronavirus, Keys to Overcoming Fear and Anxiety. You can still go watch it at this point in time. And in that podcast, I said, COVID is here to give humanity a gift, to give them the opportunity to face their deepest fears, which is the number one fear of humanity, which is death. Yet death is inevitable. Like, we humans have zero control over death. We can extend the timeline, yet at some point we will all die. Now, I'm not proposing that we roll over and embrace apathy. Instead, I'm dancing the paradox on this topic, which is give into the something that is greater than you. Whether you call this God or not, it doesn't matter to me, but give into something that is greater than you to find your answers for what your soul wants to experience here during this lifetime. And realize nothing and no one is coming to save you. Not the government, not Jesus, not a vaccine, like nothing. Nothing is coming to save you. And the faster you accept that reality and surrender to the experience of that, I'm here to tell you that's where you're going to find peace. That's how you're going to find how you are called to navigate this unknown. And right now, there is a massive amount of unknown, a massive amount of unknown. And if you want to experience a life flowing with milk and honey, you must stop clinging to the way things were. You must stop clinging to the ways things should be and surrender to whatever it is you're experiencing right now in your body, outside of your thoughts and concepts, because in the experience of your experience, you will meet your maker and he will guide you to what you are called to. Now, I don't have an answer for you on what the right way is, because I don't believe there's a right way. Instead, there's only your way, not your bullshit thoughts and your bullshit concepts, not those bullshit ways. I'm talking about the way, the small, gentle voice inside of you that tells you is your way. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 through 28, Jesus said, "Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." He continues on to say in verse 15, "Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them." He continues on to say in verses 21, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles?' Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.' Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash." When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority and not as their teachers of the law. My friend, the rains are coming down, and my hope for you is you learn to come home, to hear the voice of your creator, and that you choose to heed its guidance for you as you're navigating through this current storm that the entire face of humanity is leaning into right now. And so my invitation to you this day is this: when will you choose to come home? And if you don't know how, when will you align with that truth and choose to learn how to come home? See, the funny thing is the how is irrelevant, because until the decision to come home is made unwaveringly, the how cannot appear. So my encouragement to you this day is to make the decision to come home. Whatever that means to you, come home. For home is where you will find your answers. Your answers are not in the noise. Your answers are in your home. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Knock and the door shall be open. Many blessings to you today. So this is all I have for you in this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast. If you know someone who needs to hear this episode, send it over to them in their DMs, screenshot it, share it on social media, send them an email, a text message, whatever you have to do to get this episode into the ear holes. And also, please keep those 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes, because it's really what helps this show get found and serve more people. So thank you so much for being here today. Until next time, my friend, I'm out. Peace.
Well, that's all I've got for this episode of the Anthony John Amix podcast, but we have plenty more to help you become unstoppable in life and business. So head on over to ajamix.com for exclusive resources, information, and tools to help you break through to a new level of freedom, purpose, and success. I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Bye for now.